Hey, social media, what is up? This is Phoebe.
And this is Mike. Sorry.
We're not used to doing it live. This is the Mike and Phebe Show. So we are in studio live. We got TikTok, we got Instagram, and we got Facebook. And then we're recording live on alternativetwist.com, right? We're live on alternativetwist.com also?
Oh, yes.
Very nice. Okay.
That's audio form.
Nice. So if you guys are wondering, this is Lupe Gomez. And in today's live episode, we're talking to Lupe Gomez in studio. Lupe is running for the Mayor of Perris this November 2024 election. For those that are unaware, there's a video going around with some allegations, and Lupe's name came up, and her involvement with her church and her nonprofit. So before we begin, I wanted to let everyone know that we are neutral in all of this. Mike and I are very neutral. We're not on any one person's side. However, we interviewed Lupe on our podcast a few months ago, so it is only natural that we talk to her now. So this is an exclusive interview with Lupe, as she's chosen to talk to us, Alternative Twist Radio, about her side and her story first. So thank you very much, Lupe, for giving us the exclusive. We're very honored. So the reason why Mike and I wanted to go live is so it's unrehearsed. Right. Mike and I were very natural conversationalists, so it's all unrehearsed. There's no rehearsed questions or anything. So I wanted to give Lupe this opportunity to tell the world her story. Whatever you want to say, I don't want to lead you into whatever you want to say. So just give us your background, a little story of what happened recently.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to everyone who is joining us this morning. Thank you, Mike and Phoebe, for inviting me for the second time to interview me, ask me questions about, first of all, when I was announced that I was running for mayor for our beloved city of Perris. And second of all, reaching out to me when you heard of the story that was out there and offering me an unscripted opportunity to be able to come and speak my piece due to the lack of integrity with the way they reached out to me. I have decided not to do interviews, but I believe that Alternative Twist Radio is non-biased, and your journalistic integrity is very important to me, and I really appreciate that. And I do look forward to your station getting the attention it properly deserves. First of all, I just wanted to say I decided to run for mayor because the issues in our city are very important to me, and I don't want to be distracted from that. However, on top of the overdevelopment of warehousing, trying to fix our roads and cleaning up our shopping centers, there will be political attacks out there. And when I first hired my political consultant, campaign consultant, I was very transparent with them, and I told them about my church, and I told them about my beliefs. I was very transparent about information that was out there in regards to my church as well. And I told them, I said, do you still want to be my consultant? And they said yes. And they were like, absolutely. We believe in the issues that you are supporting. And that to me was very important, because I would not want to be in partnership or having a conversation with anyone who, would does not fully believe in the purpose, right? In community and making our community better. And so that was my focus. And so we moved forward. And when the little attacks, little posts started coming out at the beginning, first it was like little posts on Instagram. I went to my consultant and I said, hey, these little posts are coming up in regards to what we had talked about. And they're like, well, don't give it any attention. Just ignore it. Don't respond to it. You don't want to feed the fire or whatever. And I trust the professionals. And I said, okay, well, I'm paying a firm to give me, to support, to give me advice on what I should and shouldn't do, because I'm not a politician. I am agreeing to this. I am not a politician. I'm a community member. And that's the reason why I'm going into running for mayor, because of my my purpose for my community. And so I decided to go with the professionals, and they're like, just let it go. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. So we let it go. And I have the receipts to prove this too, Phoebe. So, it's not just rhetoric. And so I went ahead and I let it go, and I focused. I continued to focus. She's like, don't get distracted. This is meant to distract you. This is meant to take away from what you're supposed to be doing. Continue knocking on doors, continue going out there, continue talking to people. Great. That's what I did. And then another one came out, and also that one just kind of, burned out, whatever. And then the videos started coming out. So I had a sponsor, an endorser, reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on with this? Tell me, give me an explanation." And I did, and I told him, I said, "Well, it's false. My values, who I am now, reflect my beliefs. I believe in God. And I believe that we should all be protected, loved, served with respect. And no, this is not something that my faith condones nor supports." And he was like, "Okay, we're good. We're fine." And then I guess that wasn't enough. So then no political attack. These are political attacks. And I know, because my consultants, like, whenever you're winning, whenever you're getting ahead, when they see that the voters are listening to you, that you're gaining traction, they're gonna put these out there. And so don't listen to it. So I got a call from endorsements, and they were like, "What's going on?" Because then there was an endorsement attached to one of them. And I'm like, same thing. No, there's false, not true. And so at the same time, I was just like, I'm like, for me, it's like their perspective, right? Are they going to believe me? And I'm thinking I can say so much, but my works as a person, as a human, as a mother, as a professional, as a member of my community should speak louder than false accusations. And so, again, my consultant's like, "Don't pay attention to it." And I reached out and I said, "Hey, I got, I got media interview, and they're like, just, give it 24 hours. Don't respond." And I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm going against my gut by not responding, by not making a statement sooner. But I'm thinking, well, I'm not a professional, because I respect people's professions. I respect their background, where they come from, and their, position in the community. And so, you're paying them. So it's, you think you're getting what you're paid for. And after I lost an endorsement, and a pretty big endorsement, I went to them and I said, "Okay, guys, so now what? I've prepared a statement. I went ahead and did it. They told me they were going to prepare a statement. They never did. So I did it. And I said, this is my statement. What are my edits?" And so I was getting prepared to do that. We're like, "Please do not make a statement until we tell you to." 2 hours later, they gave me the resignation. They completely dropped me in the middle of me asking. And again, Phoebe, Mike, I have the receipts to prove this, because everything is documented. And so I was like, okay, thank God that I have not felt alone, because the community has been amazing, has been neutral, intelligent people who think for themselves, who do their own research, who can see through the lines, in between the lines of the messaging, understand the difference between a political attack and what is true and what is false. My endorser asked me, "Have you been implicated? Have you ever?" Because this is serious, right? I took it very serious from day one. My others did not. And here I am, explaining myself, right? When a statement should have been put out ahead of the game a long time ago. And I tell them, I was like, "No, I've never been implicated. I've never even been mentioned in a complaint." And for me, Phoebe and Mike, if anyone has a complaint of that caliber against me or anybody near me, I would encourage them to go to the authorities and file their complaint and let the law take its course, right? You have important leaderships. You have and you have local leadership saying, hey, I want to vote a felon into the White House, right? That's a felon. And here I am getting these attacks from someone that apparently I'm attached to, that I am connected to. There's no proof of that. And at the same time, our nonprofit as well, which has no attachment to it, that I've been working with the community through the nonprofit with civic engagement. I've been working with the Youth Advocacy Advisory Committee with the City of Perris since 2018. We do civic workshops with them. The importance of getting your vote out there, the importance of understanding what each office does for you. What does a senator's office do for you? What does assembly member do for you? What does your mayor do for you? What does your council member do for you? Those are the important parts. And that is what I believe in. And so, these political attacks, which is what it is, it's just egging on, trying to deflect from the truth, from the issues that we stand here, with today. And I think, in my perspective, I should have gone with my gut and made a statement about this a long time ago. And I should have gone against the advice that was given to me. That was a mistake that I believe I made, and I will not do again.
So, for those that don't know, I want to bring up the most recent video, and I only saw one video, so I'm not going to go into deep detail. But for those that don't know about it, and maybe they're wondering what kind of videos are they talking about, why are they talking about it? Because the community of Perris, things go around pretty quick, thanks to social media, and and that's okay. That's been the last 20-25 years. So it's just
communication's important.
Yes, it absolutely is. So I do want to address that video. And what can you tell me about that? What is your connection with the person in the video? And give me a little bit more of a background of what was said in the video.
Well, this is the thing, Phoebe. Creating a sense of awe, and it's like watching a documentary about a serial killer, right? Who doesn't like watching, if shana sha, shana sha, shana sha, and you hear like these other people who talk about the mysteries and things that go on. It's the attraction to listening to stories that are there to intrigue you. People like watching horror stories, they like watching other things, and that's what this does. It's just entertainment taken away from the gain that I have in this political race. To describe or talk about what was said, for me, is giving credit to something that should not be given credit. That's just how I feel about it. I am here today to tell the members of the City of Perris, the residents of the City of Perris, the voters, that I have very, very strong fundamental values as a Christian woman. My husband and I have raised our children to be good community members, to protect those who need protection, and to be able to give back to the community. So the whole point of our nonprofit is to give back my profession at the service of my community. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to go and and if I want to get a master's or a PhD or a bachelor's, I'm going to bring that knowledge back to my community to empower my community. I'm not going to empower my community by addressing or repeating negative, false information. Okay, and that's the thing. And I think I'll give you this. My belief that someone is innocent or guilty has nothing to do with my values. I have a right to have an opinion. Okay, I have a right to have an opinion. I have a right to believe in God and in the belief that I trust and respect everyone and their right to make a choice. I have friends in different communities in our city, in our county, and I respect them. I may not even agree completely what lifestyle they may have, but I love and respect them, and they have the right to choose as long as they do not hurt anyone. That is our fundamental belief. Those are the values of the church that I belong to. And so anything outside of that is completely false, okay? And it does not belong within my values, okay? So for me to be able to say, oh, well, this, and that, I mean, let's get into details. I believe that is the core of who I am. And that's why I'm running for mayor. Again, that's why I'm here. If I had been in a closed off little circle in my own, living in my own bubble, I wouldn't be putting myself out there. I did consider everything that could affect my family when I ran for office. I've been a planning commissioner. Let's look at the timeline. I've been with APS for 20 years. This never came up. I've been planning commissioner for 3 years. In July, it's going to be 4. I'm going to finish my appointment in July. This never came up. This never came up in May when I announced that I was running for mayor. It didn't come up during my fundraiser, the announcement of my fundraiser. It didn't come up at the forum. It hasn't come up until now, with less than 20 days left for the election, which in politics, from what I've learned, it's called the October surprise. They will hold it, they will keep it, and then at the end, they will bring it out last minute. Guess what? I'm running, I'm winning, I'm running, I'm winning. And they put a boulder right in front of me. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? And then you're like, you can see your opponent, you can see those, that don't want you to win. You see them, they're like, yeah, that's right. How are you going to get around that boulder? But I have faith. And guess what? We jumped over that boulder. We're here today, and we're going to continue running. We're going to continue to focus on what matters, which is our community, the overdevelopment of our warehouses, the roads that haven't been fixed in over 8 years. It's been longer than that, but even in the last years when there was an opportunity for our local leadership to do it now, it hasn't been done. Our shopping centers are an embarrassment, I'm going to say. Because even Walmart Supercenter, which is one of our newest, the Burlington Coat Factory Shopping Center, they are ugly, they're dirty. You can't get out of your car without stepping into something or trash flying around. That doesn't reflect who I am as a resident. And when I came with my concerns to my leadership, even to the mayor, it fell on deaf ears. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, do we stay or do we leave? We stay and we make change, or we leave, go to another city that we feel represents more who we are. And my husband's like, well, I love my house. And I'm like, I love my house too. I love the school district. People talk smack about the school district, this, that, Perris. Oh, what a joke. And this is how much people care, that this is how important this race is. This race is very important. And so we decided to stay and make change. And yes, it's been the hardest thing that I have ever done. And I'm not going to slow down. Like I said, I'm over that boulder. One more thing I wanted to add to that too is that I was very shocked to hear that the mayor is telling people that I'm a lunatic. He has told this to people in nonprofits, people that I work with, that I have relationships with, that I'm a lunatic and that I belong to I don't even want to say the word. That to me was embarrassing. And that to me is like, yeah, you're not going to stop me, because Perris deserves better. It deserves so much better. And I cannot wait to clean up our city. I cannot wait to see our city reflect who we are, truly.
So the lady that was in the video, do you know her?
Yeah, I do.
What was kind of, the relationship that you had with her?
We gave her a place to live when she was homeless.
Okay.
That's, if you want to do true, and I know you guys do, but I'm saying to everybody else listening, if you want to do true journalistic investigation, look up where she worked while she lived with me. Victoria's Secret, BJ's Bar and Grill. Look it up. why doesn't anyone do a story, look into her life?
Mm.
And I've never heard anything about her life, her lifestyle, ever.
And how long ago was this?
I'm going to say 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Someone told me, they're like, it make it sound like it was like 2 years ago. I'm like, no, this person was offered a place to stay in my home in 2009, and they were only there for 6 months, and then they left.
Okay.
So bring us back to, you said 2009?
Yep.
2009. Bring us back to your perspectives from 2009. How did you meet her? And what was the situation? Give us more insight, because my question is, how did those allegations come out? And I want to be honest with the people who are watching,
Yeah.
and I'm only repeating from what was the video. It's
Yeah.
not my own opinion or anything.
Yeah.
But when I recall, the allegations were sex trafficking allegations, which to me was very shocking.
Right.
To hear that from our own community and someone that I knew. I was like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
It made me worried for the young lady, made me worried for anyone who would have been connected somehow.
Yeah.
So bring us back to 2009. How did that happen? And what do you think, how did that happen where it was a sex trafficking allegation against a minor? To me, that was very scary.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Phoebe, because you also brought me back to a question that I was going to ask both of you. Do you vote in the city of Perris?
We do not.
Okay.
And we want to come out, and it's not a secret. My own personal belief, politics to me doesn't make sense to me in my mind, but it doesn't have to make sense to me. It's a personal choice, and that was since ever a long time ago. So it's not any one person that's turned me against it. It's just how I was raised. It didn't really vibe with me, so I didn't really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And so I never got into understanding politics. So I do not vote. I am not registered to vote. And it's not saying anything against or for anyone.
Right.
I don't know what Mike
wants to say. It's pretty much the same thing. I was never into politics.
Okay.
I never really stayed into politics. They kind of bring you into a little bit because of the way things are going now with the presidential things and all that. But I was never really wanting to be partial with that. I had too many things going on in my life that I couldn't even worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I respect that, and I think that there's a population out there that feels the same way as you guys do as well. I do believe that politics is it's very tricky to get into. It's very hard to understand a lot of times, especially, for example, what is going on right now. Why now? Why these critical, serious allegations? Desperate measures, situations call for desperate measures, I believe. I would love to say, Phoebe, in depth, the whole story of how we met and how this person, we felt in our heart to give her a place to live at the time because of the situation that she was in. But that's her story. That's her privacy. I have my privacy, my story to protect as well. My husband and I were newlyweds. I was a single mom. And at that time I had our son was very young. And we had space for another family member. And we offered it to her. And that's as much as I want to say. Because I have a son and I have a husband who also have a story that needs to be protected as well. It's part of our privacy. But thank you for asking that, because I know others have that question, and I would respond the same way as well. Those details are private because we are private citizens as well. Yes, I am coming into a political figure position, but even then, I also need to protect those who need protection that can't protect themselves, right?
Sure.
My children, I have little children. I have, that need to be protected as well. And I have nothing to hide, but we need to know our limits also. And I hope the audience respects that. But I will tell you this, and again, I want to state, if there was ever a complaint against myself or my husband or our home, they should have gone to the proper authorities. I would have encouraged. That's what everyone has the right to do in this country. And that's why we are such a wonderful, great country, because we have the right to do so. No one is going to stop us. And, it's for me, that would have been the first thing that I encourage everybody to do. And that's what we reached out to my endorser, and they're like, have you ever been implicated? No. And then they're like, why haven't they? That's a good question. Why didn't they ever? Why not? Why all of this is going on? Why now? Why now? Because I'm running for mayor. It didn't, not because not when I was planning commissioner, not when I was nonprofit director, not when I was given the Women of Distinction Award in 2020. Nothing until now. 20 days from election day. And, for me, it's not a coincidence. It's a plan. It's been egged on by the opponents as well of this race. And so I'm going to say, if anyone experiences any type of mistreatment, safety and healthcare are a right. They're a fundamental right. And you should go to the authorities, and you should file your complaints, and make sure that due process is served.
So if other people were to ask you, do you confirm or deny these allegations, what would you say?
Oh no, these against myself? No, I deny them. No, this never happened. This never happened. I would never condone any type of behavior. I would never support any type of behavior. I absolutely no, no, categorically. I'm starting to talk like a politician. Deny these allegations, and if anyone feels they are true, please go to the authorities and report it. Then I should be taken through a process, a fair process as well. But no, this never happened, and this is so false. Oh my goodness, how I had to prepare my children. I had to speak with my kids too. I am transparent. I told my kids what's going on. I explained it to them because they are in the local school system, and I'm not going to pull them. When I came to Perris, my husband's like, "Are we going to put them in private school? Let's see what private school we can put them in." And we were thinking of going to a local. I think it's First Baptist had a elementary school. And then we ended up not doing it because they were shut down, and there was a whole issue internally with them. So we weren't able to even go that route. And so I told my husband, I said, you know what? I believe in my community. And I think that if at any point, especially when I became commissioner, I said, I'm already involved in my community, and it wouldn't speak well for me to say, oh, I'm your local leader, but I don't believe in my own school system. And so we decided to keep them in public school. And I do believe that our public school has done a good job of keeping our kids safe. Every time I have had a complaint about any type of behavior at the schools, I go to the principal or the teacher, and I've always had the support. They have always responded with positive support and have taken care of any issues I may have or complaints or whatnot, which have not been many, by the way. But, my kid's bike was stolen one time, and this was a long time ago, my oldest. And right away, they were all over it, and they found it. It's so funny because you lose a bike and then you find it. Granted, all of the evidential stickers were taken off that proved they belonged to my son. But, kids talk, and they were able to find it and get his bike back. So I truly believe in the school system. I believe that, our city is a good city to raise children, but I wanted to see being developed in the way that we can continue to bring our different young families into our city and continue to give the economy, boost our economy with jobs that give living wages, not temporary jobs, not jobs that are, I had a young student tell me, he goes to Cal Baptist, and he's like, I work for this warehouse, and I work through the temp agency, And I'm like, well, how does that work? Because sometimes it's by assignment, 3 months, 6 months assignments. And he was telling me that he said, well, with this agency, which is in Paris, he's like, they'll send you to go work, and then the way you find out that they're not going to extend your assignment is that you go to the job site and your badge doesn't work anymore. I was like, that is a common experience that others have had in the city. And that is another reason why we need to stop the overdevelopment of these warehouses. And again, we go back to the issues. It always goes back to the real issues right now. We need jobs that are paying real wages, that are giving real permanent jobs, and that are focused in providing those jobs to the residents and not outsourcing as well. So, I mean, it just goes back to my experience, my answers, Phoebe, they all go back to community, because in the end, that's what it's about. And that's what they're trying to deflect from.
So what was the thought process of putting your kids in private school? What would be the difference from private school to public school?
There's how can I put it? There's this misconception that because you put your kids in private school, it's better than public school, which in some cases I understand where that thought process comes from, because it's same if you think about university level. If you go to a university that has classrooms or lectures that have hundreds of students versus a university that has lectures with less than 100 students, or a small group 30 to 60 students, the evidence shows that those universities, those students tend to be more successful. So in the public school, as an example, there can be situations where there's an overpopulation of students, and so the teacher-student ratio is a lot higher, or the student-teacher ratio is a lot higher. Oh, okay. And so the attention to each student is diluted, right? Versus going to a public school where they promise they're only going to have no more than 15, 20 kids in a classroom. And they promise that they're going to have, direct tutoring, direct services, and they offer, additional curricular activities are involved with the school. And then if you wish and put them in a faith-based private school, then they're also going to teach them the values that you have regarding your faith. And so there are differences, but what we do at home is we make sure that our values in our home are always practiced, are always given to our kids. They're citizens first, and we tell them, you guys, people are always watching. They're watching everything you do. So make sure that you continue to say thank you, please, be courteous. Do not get involved in bullying. If you say something bad, say something, right? You see something, say something. I have taught my kids this. And I will tell you that I have firsthand knowledge of a certain politician that their family member was involved in bullying. My daughter saw it because it happened to her best friend at the time. But I'm not coming out here talking about that. It's okay. That's not the way I play. I'm using it as an example because it can happen. And I also have experiences with other community leaders that I have worked with, but I am not using that. I'm not putting any energy into that to attack, because I believe in focusing on the issues at hand, and I cannot wait to see our city get better. I do believe that we advocate for our schools. We have to. The mayor's position is to advocate, not just say, oh, that's the responsibility of the school district. Oh, that's the responsibility of Caltrans. Oh, that's the responsibility of the county. No, mayor, it's the mayor's responsibility to advocate for your city. You are supposed to create those relationships with those other agencies, with those other entities, to make sure that there's an understanding that the needs of your community are being met. Just yesterday, last example, I promise. Yesterday, I got a text message from IE Boats, And actually, I have it right here. Because I'm registered to vote, so since you guys already explained you didn't get it. But it said, let's see, voter guide. So I got a text message around 6:39 last night, and it said, "Hi, Guadalupe. I guess I can say it. I'm Felipe with IE Votes. Want to know local Perris candidates committed to affordable housing in the IE?" And I replied, yes. I already know who I'm going to vote for, but I replied yes. And it said, and it gives a list here of propositions, and it says, vote yes on this proposition. For Assembly District 60, vote for this person. And then it says, Perris Elementary School District area, vote for this person. And then it says Perris Mayor, vote for Michael Vargas. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is about affordable housing. Were they not paying attention at the forum? We were able to answer those questions at the forum. And I remember when we talked about, those who are, that are with unhoused, I remember that his response was, we've done everything we can, and you can take a horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink. I remember that response. It was a public response at the forum. And unfortunately, I'm like, is that the response they're going off to give us these text messages and give us, and tell the residents how to vote? Because my response was like, when you feel that as a leader, you run out of options, you go to so many of these nonprofits or other organizations that have already been established, who are the word I'm looking for, experts in those areas, and they already know what to do and they have the solutions. That's what you do. That's what I would do as mayor. If I felt that we've already brought in all types of resources to our community, then that means that I need to make my relationships with these organizations stronger and bring in more of them to be able to get creative, to be able to bring these resources to our citizens, to our residents in the city of Perris. That was my response. So if that's what IE Votes is going off of, then I'm a little disappointed at this point.
Now, going back to our earlier conversation, our radio station, Alternative Twist Radio, we are a nonprofit radio station. Mike and I, we own, we don't own it because, as a nonprofit,
Right.
We don't own a nonprofit, but we help run the nonprofits. So as a nonprofit, when I was listening and watching the video, the young lady mentioned about your nonprofit.
Yeah.
And as we know, you're executive director of a nonprofit. So she somehow brought the tie into the nonprofit. So how did your nonprofit tie into that video?
That was a very clever way of trying to destroy my character, because my nonprofit has nothing to do with, it's not religious based. It's not. We are a nonprofit that we are focused on bringing resources to the community. As directors, as local leadership, what we do, and I've been doing for 20 years now, Phoebe and Mike, is I was a student when I first started with APS, and I was a single parent. I had decided that I was nowhere near what the person I wanted to be when I was a kid. You know how you have a vision like, when I grow up, I want to be this. And I was 25 years old, and I realized that I was a single parent. I wasn't there. And so I started volunteering for this organization, and it gave me the support. It gave me the feeling that I was so valuable as a person in my community, that I could reach any level of education if I chose to go in that route, that I was able to reach any level of education as I wanted. And I went back to school. I did part-time, and then I decided to make some financial sacrifices, and I went full-time. And what I mean is, nowadays we call it frugal, being frugal, right?
Sure.
So I didn't have like a fancy car. I didn't live in a fancy home. My husband, my son and I were in a studio apartment that we shared, and I was recently divorced, right? Yes, I've been divorced. There you go. And then I went back to school full time, and that's when I met my husband. And we decided that we both wanted to get a higher education. We're both part of this nonprofit as well. I met him. I think that's a different story for a different day, how we met. But, I never stopped volunteering for that organization because it gave me the support that I needed when I felt that the doors had been closed and I was no longer able to go on that path that I had longed for as a young woman. So I did it. And, I graduated, I got my bachelor's, and guess what? The organization said, hey, why don't you go for a master's? And I was like, why not? The economy wasn't favorable at the time anyway. I graduated. I transferred over to UCR and I graduated in 2010. 2010, and I was pregnant with my son, with Matthew, when I graduated. And so I went ahead and my husband's like, okay, well, let's get a job, let's start getting that money. And the economy was horrible. And so I didn't want to waste time. So I went back and I got my master's. I enrolled in a master's program at University of Redlands. And I worked at Starbucks for 2.5 years while I did that. And so my husband and I were able to balance our lives in order, our family and our school and our working, because he was an EMT. He was an EMT for 17 years. And he worked for AMR. And, first responders, he was working 12, 14, 24, 72-hour shifts, And so as we were very young, I'm sure we could not be able to tolerate that nowadays, but at that time you're very young, you have a growing family, and I would remember waking up at 3 a.m. when the house was quiet and the babies were asleep to do my homework or to read. And then my husband would go off to work at 5 a.m. I would pack him his lunch or his breakfast, and he would go. That doesn't happen anymore. I don't make lunches or pack because our lifestyle is very different now. But I worked part-time I was an opener at Starbucks here on Ramona Expressway. And I loved it because I had to be there at 4:30 in the morning. We'd open the store by 5. And I was out by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, which was part-time. I would go home, and then my husband, we'd cross paths. So he would work a little later. He would start like at 10 or 11. And then I would go home, pack him his lunch, and then he would go. And then it was my turn to take over and be with the babies. So we were able to balance that out because the organization said, you can do it. Like, it's so powerful to feel that from a nonprofit telling you, yeah, you can do it. Yes, you have the value. And now as I've gotten older, after I got my master's degree and then I started working, then I was appointed chapter director here in the Inland Empire. And then I've been doing as much work as I could. I had a co-director who moved. She got married, God bless her, and she left. And so I was here, and I worked with David Rabb, and we started doing the informational. We did a couple of Facebook Lives where we talked about what a yes vote means, what a no vote means for the upcoming elections. Because, I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. Propositions are meant to be confusing. They're meant to not be understood unless you're an attorney, so that your decision is pretty much based on commercials and propaganda that's being put out there. But he and we did that a couple of years, and then I said, hey, you know what? The city of Perris is missing civic workshops for the youth. Why don't we do that? And he's like, let's do it. So I'll connect you with the YAC, and he connected me with the YAC back in 2018, and we've been doing those workshops ever since. So, how is it connected? There's no connection. Faith-based, whatever you want to call it, that's not the type of organization this is. But yes, very clever way to try to connect something that is good to something that is horrible. And, I say that, again, it's just, someone had that in the back of their pockets and decided to throw it out now.
Mm-hmm. So now you've answered our question about your nonprofit involvement. What about, let's dig a little deeper. She also brought up your church. So what is your involvement with your church, and how do you think that connection, what's the tie-in with the church and that specific video that we were talking about?
And which church do you go to?
I think that I think that that's the thing that I've never been shy or denied the church that I belong to. I belong to Light of the World Church. And I'm not going to give that video the energy in regards to the allegations that were made. Because as I've already stated, Phoebe, and thank you for asking that question, I respect the question because that is a question that the viewers have. But my response to that is, I can say so much. I can go on and on and on. But my actions and my community and my values speak louder as to who I am today, what I've done up to this day. I grew up with these values. I love my faith. And I'm teaching my children the same values and the same faith because I know that their lives will be successful. They will always have comfort from God in everything they do. And if they have doubts about decisions that they want to make on their own, they can always put it in prayer, put it in God's hands, and it's going to happen. Because my life is testimony of that. I grew up in a very, very abusive home. When I was a kid, my parents, we were not from the church. We were not. I can give you my testimony. My parents got baptized and I was 13 years old. And this is what I tell people in conversation, okay? Since we're having this conversation today. Before that, my stepfather suffered alcoholism, my mother depression. And as kids, I can remember, knowing that it wasn't right. But then one day, the faith came to our home. And I will tell you that I've never experienced an unhappy day without comfort since then. And I am 45 years old. I'm 45-year-old mother with a 20-month-old baby. Who knew that was going to happen? But I can guarantee you, and I am true testimony, that my faith empowered me as a woman. My faith taught me that women have a very special place because there has to be a balance in our communities with our male, the men, and the women. And I never felt such empowerment as a woman as I do in my faith. My faith has taught me that if I choose to do so, I can make change in my community. That is the focus. That should be the focus, not unsubstantiated accusations, no proof whatsoever, especially to my person, because today we're here to defend my person, me, my values, my faith. I don't care how twisted it gets out there, but this is me. And I was given the power to say, you're a leader. I've always had doubts sometimes, like, am I too loud? Am I too harsh? Because, gender roles they're still out there, right?
Yeah.
But I'm blessed to be with a husband who supports me as a strong leader in my community. I could not be doing any of this without my husband's support 110%. He is the most, what's the word I'm looking for? He is the most secure male in my life at this point. He has taught me. When this came out, I'm going to share this too. It's personal, but I want to share it with you because I'm comfortable now. When this came out, it hit me hard. Okay? Because I know that is so far from the truth. However, I was on my way to a planning commission meeting, and this was last week. We had a planning commission meeting on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, let's go. We got to move forward, got to push forward. But it was still in the back of my head. because that was the same time that my consultant dropped me as well. After going back and forth, like, how do we respond? And they're like, don't. I'm like, okay, fine. Anyway, after that bomb fell, I was on my way. I was driving, and I got a text message from him. And he, when I arrived, I pulled over and I was reading it, and it was a scripture. It was a scripture for those of you who are faith-based. And if you're not faith-based, let's call it a poem, okay? And the words in it were, like, it was the perfect passage that gave me the comfort and support to move forward. It was about Queen Esther and the persecution that they faced at the time. And the words were just resonated with me, and they brought me the comfort that I needed and the strength to move forward. And like that, he has surprised me many other times. And that's how I know that he was placed in my life so that he would be supporting me at this moment. So thank you, Phoebe, for that question. But again, my goodness, my life has been the best life I could ever imagine. I've traveled the world. I have been to Greece. I have been to Canada. We've been to Colombia. We have been to London several times. We have traveled the world. We are open people. The world is our oyster. It was meant for us to enjoy the right way, of course. My children are cultured. They know about their culture. They know about their faith. They're very strong in their faith. They've also traveled with us. I'm living a life that, as a young kid with an immigrant parent and a mom, my mom was a single mom. She had me too, when she was very young. You believe that the world is against you and the circumstances don't allow you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I am a success story that came from that obscurity into a great life. And so much so that I believe that others can also do it. So if you want to go to a trade school, if you want to go to college, if you want to get a PhD, which, by the way, my husband is actually getting his PhD right now. He went back to school.
Good.
If you want to be a doctor, I have a brother who is a biomedical engineer. I have a brother who is a contractor, very successful. My mom's a teacher. My stepfather worked in sanitation until his retirement. My life is very, again, we have come to this point, and I am very proud to say that, uplifting and working for your community could be the best decision ever. And I cannot wait for my kids to be able to do that as well.
True. The church that, I think you said, what, Lit for Life? What is the church again?
The Light of the World.
Oh, Light of the World. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I never heard of that church around here.
It's universal.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But our focus, as a person of faith, my focus is to work with my community.
Sure.
And if you haven't had our tamales.
Tamales. Woohoo! We love tamales.
Every staff at the city, and almost every staff, I hope, has had either our tamales or our pupusas. Sheriff's has also enjoyed our tamales. They love them. The local station here. I purchase them. I help with the fundraising, and then I give them out to my friends and neighbors.
There you go.
And the holidays is a great way to do fundraising as well. So that is our focus.
Good.
And that's what we're going to continue to do. Nothing's going to stop us.
I don't know if any of social media has any questions. I probably should have said that in the beginning. If you guys, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. The remaining few minutes that we have with Lupe, we'll address it with her because I like this free flowing vibe that we have, you know. So put it in the chat. I see lots of people getting in there, so which is awesome. And let's see here.
I think we went a little over, huh?
Yeah, that's okay though.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
all right. Let's see here. Make sure if I had any. Did you have any other questions, Mike?
No, I think that's pretty much about it for right now.
Okay, and I don't see anyone in the chat. If you guys think of your questions, again, we're talking with Lupe Gomez. Lupe is running for Mayor of Perris here for this election, November 2024. So that's coming up real quick. You said what, 20 days?
Right now, I think we're at like 17 days. I think.
Ah, so it's down to the wire.
Yeah, down to the wire.
Down to the wire. We have 2 more weekends to go knock on doors. I've been knocking on doors every single time. I mean, I wish I could do it every day, but I'm definitely doing it during the week, on the weekends, knocking on doors, and I'm looking forward to just continuing to do that. The residents need to know who I am. They need to meet me in person. They need to meet me in person. That's important to me.
Don't your knuckles hurt?
Yes.
Knocking on doors.
It's either that or your finger hurts from pushing on the doorbell.
There's the ring bell.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of them don't have it, and yes, yes, I have to alternate.
Okay.
Good point.
All right.
So if you guys have any questions for Lupe, you can contact her, find her on social media. Her Instagram and Facebook is at Lupe Gomez for Mayor, or you can email her at info@lupegomezformayor, or you can go on her website, Lupe Gomez for Mayor, and it's all one word, Lupe Gomez for, and it's like for, F-O-R, mayor.com. So go ahead and email. Let me see. I think let's see. You can come.
Art
come.
Walk.
Oh yeah,
the Art Walk on the 25th.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
that's Paris Fandom Con.
There we go. Is that Greg running it? Yeah, I think so. Right? Yes.
That's Greg.
That's awesome. I was like, who's reading?
Yes.
I can't read that far. I got to squint. Yes. So yeah, you're going to be at the Art Walk.
Thank you for the shout out, Greg.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be at the October 25th at the Paris Art Walk. I believe I may even be one of the judges.
Oh, there's going to be a judging, like a costume competition?
I believe so. Not sure, but
Okay.
I'll be there for sure.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. No, we definitely decided to support that. We go there every year. And this year, I believe the city pulled out their sponsorship. But guess what? We got other sponsors, and it's moving forward. So we're very excited. Very, very excited.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So Greg said yes. So it must be a yes for the costume contest.
Yes,
Fun.
okay,
Yeah, because it's Halloween.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Awesome.
That
So
time of year.
you can meet her and ask her any questions you have.
Is that Jerry from our
Looks
president?
like, yeah, Jerry's
Paris Valley Chamber president.
Jerry. Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I just saw him pop in there. Very nice. Yeah. So if you have any questions, go ahead and contact Lupe on her social media, or run into her at any of the events that she's going to be at, or at the Art Walk this Friday or Saturday. I think it's Friday. Yeah, Friday afternoons. Yes.
Handy dandy, don't fail me now, Google, which apparently has been the story this morning.
Yeah, I think it was every Friday. Yeah,
you're right.
In the afternoons to
every
evenings.
last Friday of the month is the Art Walk.
That's right.
That's right.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Okay, well, I appreciate you giving us the exclusive. You answered our questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is Lupe
guys.
Gomez. Thank you.
Have a great Sunday, everyone.
Thank you.